Hey everybody, how's it going today? Just checking in at the end of the week, kind of doing a little week in review of the sports card shenanigans for the past week or so, in case you guys don't follow. Just the general kind of day-to-day stuff. A few different things happened this week. Probably the biggest thing was early in the week. If you guys don't know who he is, he's a major social media influencer, Gary Vee. He dabbles in sports cards. I think he does more than dabbling in sports cards, but he dabbles in posting about sports cards on his various platforms. Kind of re-entered the fray this week, posting about Devin Booker PSA 10s, rookies, Prisms base, and KD Topps base PSA 10s, and the prices skyrocketed on them. I assume you guys know who Gary Vee is if you're in the industry at all, or dabbling in the hobby at all. You've probably at least heard the name. Literally, the guy could tweet about a card and the price will just go insane. So if you happen to be following and didn't know this guy, happen to be following Devin Booker PSA 10 prices or KD rookie card prices and wondering what the hell happened this week, that I think they doubled to nearly tripled in the matter of 2 days, because he was talking about them. And then on one of his, he does a morning Periscope / YouTube live thing, Tea with Gary Vee. He talked about sports cards on that one day as well. I think that was Thursday or Friday morning. He didn't mention anything specific that day, but he's big into basketball cards, base PSA 10 rookie basketball cards. But the guy can move the market, so you need to pay attention to what he says. I do not recommend buying whatever he's talking about unless you're buying it the second that he's talking about it. If you're coming to it even hours after he spoke about it, the prices are going to be so inflated it's not worth getting in. But if you can hop on early, you may be able to turn a quick profit that way if that's what you're in it for. Everyone comes to sports cards for different things. Some people for the money, for the quick flip. Some people for the collectability. To each your own, whatever you guys want to do with it. I'm not here to judge one way or the other. So that was kind of a big deal, him coming back. The other major thing that happened is obviously the NBA announcing that they will be returning officially, and the plan for that, the schedule got released yesterday. I will say, looking at the schedule, they gave the Pelicans the easiest possible path to the playoffs that they could. Their last 3 games are against other teams, that don't necessarily have a chance. They're probably going to be playing against basically their summer league team. So it's still going to be pretty tough to catch the Grizzlies, but it's looking at least like a Grizzlies Pelicans play-in game situation. And if Zion makes the playoffs, man, or he tears up these 8 games, his prices are going to go nuts. It's one of the things I've been doing now that the Mosaic but most of my money was going into buying Mosaic sealed product, selling it off, opening it, grading it, etc. I'm still waiting on stuff to come back from grading, obviously, because grading's taking forever no matter who you use. So the only bad part about that is it's kind of impacted my run up to buying guys in the playoffs. So I've begun to shift my attention towards that, because if you guys are newer to basketball cards, guys get huge playoff bumps if they can make a run. For example, last year, like the Giannis 9.5 that you guys see sitting there dead center, I purchased last year in the first round of the playoffs, I think, maybe the second round. Prior to the playoffs, that card was about $250. During the first round of the playoffs, when I got it, they were between $300 and $400. I picked that up for just a little over $300. By the time they got eliminated, it was was up to, I want to say, around 500. And sitting here today, I think those go for around 15 to 1700 a year later, or a little over a year later, give or take. But guys can get massive playoff bumps. And people prep for that. That's why the last month, if you follow the market at all, for example, Luka, his PSA 10 base Prism prices have gone nuts the last couple weeks. This particular card, this is obviously not a PSA, BGS 9.5, but the PSA 10 version of that was going for 500, is now creeping to 750, if not 750, all within the last 2 weeks. I expect it'll be 800-ish to 850-ish, I would say, by the time the playoffs start, if things keep trending in this direction. And if they win a round or two, man, look out. And the Mavs are one of the teams that can potentially move up in the seeding. Right now, they're the 7th seed, so they would have to play whoever the 2 seed is in the standings, which I believe is the Clippers, but they have a decent shot to move up to 6, and moving up just to 6 would be a huge difference. Then they get like the Rockets, the Nuggets, or someone like that in the first round, and those teams are good, but I think they can beat one of those teams potentially. Not for sure, but they have a chance against them, whereas the Clippers, I don't think they do. And the longer Luka stays in it, the more his prices are going to skyrocket, especially if he's playing well, which if they're advancing, he's probably playing well. Same could be said for KP, or for KP, Kristaps Porzingis, but Luka is one of the main hype drivers for this playoff run. So I guess if you guys are looking to buy stuff, get in now. Prices are already inflated. Another one that's gone way up this past week is SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. His stuff has gone considerably up. I know I purchased like a base Prism rookie of his back in the winter. I was getting them. I only bought one of them, unfortunately. Whoops. His base Prism rookie was like $9 back in the winter. That card now is like 30 to 40 bucks for a base. The hype on him the last 3 weeks has been insane. His prices have really gone up. Same boat, Donovan Mitchell. And then the biggest one probably besides Luka is Jason Tatum. On a couple videos ago, I showed you guys that I picked up that Tatum select. The thing that's really been on the rise lately, his PSA 10 Prism price, and I have to check, I believe that stayed fairly stable. It's gone up a little bit, but it's basically been around 500 to 570 for a while now. It was a 500, and it's been slowly creeping up. But what's played catch up, and I'm kicking myself for this one too. You always kick yourself for the ones you don't jump in on. Right before the virus hit, when the league was still running, I was looking at Tatum Optic PSA 10s. They were going for around 100 to like 115-ish. And I was looking at base cards, which were pretty cheap as well, all things considered. And they were cheap compared to where his Prism price was. I felt like it hadn't closed the gap, per se. The Prism price shot up because Tatum went on a tear in like February. Over like a 2 weeks, he was just going absolutely nuts. And his Prism price went insane. And Prism kind of leads the pack. If you see a Prism price shooting up, the hype will be on that, and then behind that, the other stuff will rise. So typically it'll be Optic after that, and then after Optic it'll be Select, and now I think maybe Mosaic after that. It's kind of like a rising tide lifts all boats situation. The Prism leads the charge and kind of drags everything else with it, but there's a little bit of a lag time there. So if you miss the boat on the Prism, you could jump in on some of the other sets. And this is not player specific. This is just in general. So I snagged this for what I thought was a really good deal. I mentioned it on the video at a time. This is the Select Premier level, I believe that it is. They have 3 tiers. They have a concourse, a premier, and a courtside. The PSA pop report on this is very high. I do not have the numbers ahead in front of me, and I don't want to waste time looking them up for you guys. But the base PSA 10 Prism on a Tatum is astronomical. The base PSA 10 on this Premier is pretty low compared to this. I don't remember exactly what this one is, and I just picked up another player that we'll talk about in an upcoming video. I got a card coming in the mail, but I'll wait till I get the card to show that one off to you guys. It's not someone that's on a playoff team, but I really like the select stuff. I think it's a very undervalued set. But yeah, anyone that is a young-ish star player or up-and-coming star player, their prices are on the rise right now in anticipation for the playoffs. And I can tell you, if Zion and or Ja, one of the two is going to make it most likely. I don't see the Blazers getting in over one of those two teams. Whichever one of those two makes it, their prices are going to go crazy because their first round opponent is going to be the Lakers most likely. So it's going to be at minimum 4 games against LeBron James. So if you think Zion can play well, his prices are already high. I don't know that I would buy into Zion, but if you have Zion to sell, I would hold. And then sell during that run. I'm not big on Zion for a long-term perspective. That being said, if I think Ja, his stuff is still underpriced, especially compared to Zion. And I do think Memphis is going to make it in over the Pelicans, even though the NBA is doing everything possible to get Zion in the playoffs. But Ja PSA 10 is under $400. Zion PSA 10 is, I believe, around $500. I would much rather have a Ja PSA 10 plus something else versus a Zion PSA 10. If I was buying some or whatever grading company you prefer the choice. So that's kind of the other big thing that's been going on this week is the young guys and their prices ramping up for the playoffs. And if you haven't gotten in yet, you're probably already too late. But there's some guys out there that you could pick up. I've been looking at, and this is going to be like a really random name, OG Anunoby. Pascal Siakam prices are absolutely bonkers. I am priced out of the market on him. But I think the Raptors have a good chance to make a run. So I was thinking of who else is out there. Fred VanVleet, unfortunately, does not have a lot of rookie cards. So there's just not a lot out there to go get. He was kind of one of those weird players, that kind of slipped through the cracks, and then all of a sudden he doesn't get a lot of rookie cards. So there's not much out to get for him. Kyle Lowry is Kyle Lowry. He just doesn't have that much buzz around him. But OG was playing very well right before the season stopped, and his stuff is dirt cheap. I picked up a lot of Optic cards, all one purchase that'll be here probably early next week. I'll do a mail day video on all those. But he's one of the players you can get in for a low investment. His Optic cards are $2 to $3 a piece. So even if you buy 10 of them at $30, $40, whatever, with shipping and taxes and all the shenanigans, I'm not saying he's going to be all NBA or anything crazy, but if they have a nice deep playoff run, in his prices, if that turns into a $10 a piece card, I wouldn't even bother grading them. I would just sell them raw and, pick up a nice little chunk of change. But someone like that, you got to kind of buy in bulk to be able to make an impact on it. But it's still a pretty low entry point in regards to cash spent. So that's pretty much where the market is right now. Everyone's gearing up for the playoffs or for the resumed season and who's going to make a run on those. The other thing that happened this week was Card Ladder launched, which is an online charting / stock market style, show you some graphs, make some recommendations service. I got a free trial to check it out. I watched some other videos previewing it. It does not look like it is a fully fleshed out product at the moment. So I did not even bother signing up for it. They have a database of cards, and the problem that I saw was there are tons of cards missing from it. Stuff that should be on there. So until they get that worked out, I'm not going to give it a good look. The thing that intrigued me was they have a feature called inventory management where you put your cards in, and it essentially tells you what your collection's worth. And I found that to be an interesting tool. Another service that's like that I've thought of, and that was a free trial for 7 days, and then it was going to be $15 a month. Another one that I was thinking about signing up for was Sports Card Investor, who has an extremely popular YouTube channel. I am a member of his Discord, but I'm not a paid member. I'm just a free version guy. He has the same thing, charting, trending software, etc. His is $50 a month, though, which is pretty pricey, but it is much more fleshed out. That product's been on the market for over 6 months. It has a lot of nice features. It has a lot of data in it, much larger database. And they're supposedly adding inventory tracking as well. If they add inventory tracking, it's supposed to be this week, in fact. I am probably going to at least try it. Because I think there's some value in that. So, if you're interested in something like that, check out Card Ladder. If you can get the 7-day trial to nose around, I don't think it's worth the $15 a month at the moment, just based off of what I've saw poking around in it and whatnot. But, to each their own on that one. But those are pretty much the 3 major things I think that happened this week in the sports card world. The Gary Vee coming back, quote unquote, thing is major. Because like I said, whatever he touches skyrockets. It's a proven fact by this point. Some people hate him, some people like him in regards to sports cards. Because they think he pumps and dumps. The guy's worth millions. The last thing he needs to do is pump up some Devin Booker rookie PSA 10s to, make $300 a piece on them and sell off 20 or 30 of them or whatever he had. That's a drop in the bucket for him. So, and he says he does not sell, he only buys. And I have a tendency to believe him. When you see his videos that he does with his, stuff in his office where he's just talking, in the background, you'll just see stacks of slabbed cards on shelves and stuff. And when he talks about sports cards, he'll pull them out. And in one of the videos, his table was literally full of just slabbed basketball cards. So, and the guy's worth so much money, making $10,000 flipping Booker PSA 10s is lunch, lunch and dinner to that guy. So I just don't think he's in it for that. But a lot of people do not like the way that he can manipulate the markets, whether it's intentional or unintentional. My opinion is anything that brings eyes and people to the sports card market is good for everybody, one way or the other. So, that's pretty much the week that was in the wonderful world of sports cards. So if there's anything major that I missed, go ahead and throw it down below. I'm sure there's stuff that I missed, but those are kind of the big things I thought anyway. But if you haven't, start gearing up with playoff guys, and do the YouTube stuff down below. Give me a like, a sub, and a comment if you had it. Let me know who you are targeting for the playoff run, as we all gear up for it. I should have something early next week, a little mail day, once some of the stuff I bought this week on eBay starts coming in. We'll talk more about some of the playoff guys and that sort of stuff. So that's all I have for you guys, and we will catch you on the next one.